I've run with the heading of UK rental growth outside London hits 4-year high, which I wouldn't imagine will come as much shock to anybody, but worth pointing out that some parts of the UK have actually hit a 10-year high, including the North East, South West, and close to us, the East Midlands and Wales. Now, I've stolen a graphic here from Zoopla. This was actually released today, so really good timing for me when I was putting this together. It's got some good stats here. So on average, annual rents have increased by 3% across the UK. This is excluding London. And if you look at London, by the way, some boroughs down as much as 10%. I know that more central areas have been hit quite hard of recent times through the pandemic. I actually spoke a bit about major cities and central areas last time out, as a drop in demand and values has been seen throughout the pandemic. However, as lockdown eases and offices start to open properly again, the rental demand is starting to rebuild and increase. 16 days on average to achieve a let. Again, not surprising. In a lot of cases, it's probably a lot quicker at the moment. Again, it kind of depends on the property style. I'd say the 2 and 3 bedroom homes, similar to the sales market, have definitely been the most popular. The houses with outside space, that kind of thing, I'd say they're probably a bit quicker. But that has come down. Last time I saw a stat like that, I was reading the Arla rental property market update at the beginning of the year, and I think at the time they had it as 21 days on average to achieve a let in the UK. So obviously you can see the effect the demand has had. Next chart breaks it down into regions, and you can see that the Midlands rate of growth is above average at nearly 5%, which represents approximately £35 a year per calendar month in a year, based on the average asking rent being at £718 per calendar month. Again, I would suggest that there's certain property types and sort of larger family homes, it would have gone up more than that. But of course, when you go back down to your flats, I think that's probably a reasonable rate of increase for what we're experiencing here at the moment. Rents are actually rising fastest in the North East, just about, as you can see there. Similar to the sales market, the regions showing the highest rental growth are typically where there's been more headroom for rents to rise, so more affordable to begin with. And again, similar to the sales side, a demand and supply imbalance is driving the increase in rents. Zoopla have recorded demand at a whopping 59% higher in April than in a typical April in a more normal pre-pandemic market. So again, sort of going back to 2019. The search trends of renters are similar to buyers, as they're also looking for more space or reassessing how and where they're living. This means an increasing number are making moves rather than extending their current contracts and thus creating additional demand. The search for space is clear, as a number of renters searching for a property with its own garden has more than doubled this year in comparison to the same period last year. Really interesting stat, tells a story, doesn't it? And of course, we also have a supply challenge in the rental market, with new supply in the first quarter of the year recorded 5% lower than last year. I see a couple of factors on this. So firstly, while some renters are making a move, there are a lot of others staying put due to affordability constraints and a reluctance to increase their outgoings during the pandemic. So this means that the level of properties being vacated and remarketed are lower than usual. And secondly, the level of individual landlords investing into the private rental sector has not regained the levels seen in 2015 before the 3% additional stamp duty was introduced for a second property purchase. In fact, the number of properties purchased using a buy-to-let mortgage was 45% lower in 2020 than it was in 2015. I didn't know that until earlier today when I was finishing that off, but I thought that was an incredible stat. So my outlook then is simply that I expect more of the same. I expect the rental prices to continue to increase at a similar rate with the elevated demand. I see no real reason why supply will drastically increase. Perhaps with lower deposit mortgages available, there'll be more first-time buyers getting on the ladder and therefore leaving their rental properties to be remarketed. That may have a little bit of effect, but I wouldn't say it's going to be enough to keep up with the demand. And as I mentioned earlier, city centres should pick up again as more business and offices reopen. So again, give us your views and thoughts. Feel free to share with us in the chat. Let us know what you think. Is there anything that you agree with, disagree with? Are you experiencing anything different? Just pop it in the chat and let us know what you're thinking. I will say this: there is still a good market and opportunity for buy-to-let investors, despite the increase in purchase prices, as the increase in rental prices are generally keeping up, and therefore the yields are all relative. Currently in Wolverhampton, the average gross rental yields are above 6% right now. And with stats of high tenant demand, less buy-to-let mortgages being used, low supply, it just strikes me as a really good arena for private landlords right now. So always worth keeping an eye out if you are actively looking to invest.